Stephen, welcome to People in Legal.
Great to be here.
I tell you, I have just learned so much about your business and what you guys do. So can you introduce yourself, your journey, and also, I guess, the company itself?
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, we are a global SI, one of Microsoft's major partners. We're an inner circle partner, and we've been going for like just about 35 years. So pretty well established. We're in 23 countries, and we're just a bit under 1,000 people. And we kind of have two main parts to our business. So we're a classic systems integrator on the Microsoft platform, and we do everything really that you'd need to run a business and support running a business on the Microsoft platform. But just before the pandemic, we made a major investment, and we acquired a product called Lexis One from LexisNexis.
I remember that, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So we bought that product from those guys, and then we've been working hard over the last 4 or 5 years to take what was actually effectively an on-prem product, to take it to the Microsoft Intelligent Cloud, to put in place a SaaS model in terms of releases and everything else, and also to take that legal core that we bought from LexisNexis and to expand it out across multiple professional services industries. So our platform, of course, primarily covers legal, but we can also work with accounting or with management consulting or with architectures, engineers, IT services. So the whole gamut, really, even media, advertising, the whole gamut of professional services. It's the same source code, so it's a similar product, but we just have a slightly different face to the world, depending on what particular vertical that you have. So, for example, in legal, you don't call it a project, you call it a matter.
Exactly.
So it would be a matter. If you're in architecture and engineering, it becomes a product. If you are in legal, billing is an area where there's a lot of complexity. So we switch on a lot more functionality around billing for legal. But if you're in architectural and engineering, you might need something like task-based billing, for example. Now, that's not necessary in legal, so we would have that functionality because it would just kind of clutter things up in the legal environment. And we feel like we're kind of unique in a sense that we're really the only product that's out there that was built from the ground up in the intelligent cloud. We haven't had to lift and shift kind of legacy code and all of that. And we feel like sometimes our competitors mislead and kind of cloud the messaging around their solution, right? Because when you really kind of get under the hood, what you'll find is there is a lot of legacy plug-in kind of stuff that they're doing, which means that it's not really truly cloud. So we believe we're the only truly cloud solution that's out there. We also think that Microsoft is by far the strongest platform in the business solution stack. I think that they're recognized as the leader, that whole ecosystem.
I mean, it's what you want. It's one of the biggest IT companies in the world. So
correct.
Software companies as well.
Absolutely. And you look at the R&D investment that they're putting in. It's tens of billions, right, into that business app space. Forget about the rest, the AI and so on. And I think as the whole basis for competition shifts away from feature and function towards more technology, right? And the ability to be able to leverage these cool technologies, AI and so on, the way that people have traditionally made their decisions as to what platform to buy has been very much on, feature and function and does it do this, does it do that? I think that they need to be thinking much more about the technology and how can they future-proof, right, their business, and are they really best served being on a legacy platform which has limited ability to leverage their R&D budgets to really build this kind of transformative technology, right? I think we're seeing now in our clients a shift whereby they're starting to look for solutions that have that future proof, that have that ability to leverage the technology and that integrate better with what they already have. And many of them, of course, are Microsoft customers already. Right?
Absolutely.
And the fact that we sit within the Office suite, we sit within Teams, it makes it so much easier for the fee earners to get up to speed with our product because we don't require them to go into the back-end platform to be looking at all these complex ERP screens. We leave that to the finance and billing folks. We've really worked hard on having a really super productive, easy fee earner experience, being a fabulous UX, something that will be very familiar to somebody that's used to working with those Microsoft Microsoft products. So yeah, that's a bit the background.
For a firm who's actually currently got Adorant on-premise or Lead on-premise or another product on-premise and move to the cloud, effectively, what you've got is another option.
Absolutely. And in fact, we've done that. So we've taken clients from both Elite and Adorant to our cloud platform. And I think, one of the challenges we struggle with in the legal industry is they've traditionally been very conservative, right? We don't have the visibility that those other products have, but we are absolutely competitive with them in feature and function, and far superior in terms of the underlying technology. We just need help from guys like you, David, to get the word out there, and for people to realize that there is a viable alternative, which is much more future-proof, which can be implemented very quickly, because that's the other difference as well. The tools that you have in the Microsoft environment, like the Power Platform, Power Apps, no-code, low-code, you can do stuff in that platform as a customer, which doesn't interfere with our core solution, right? And you can do it so rapidly. You can go out there and you can talk to Gartner and they will tell you that these tools are 3-4 times more productive than traditional development tools to generate the same output. So not only are you on a modern platform, but your folks that you have in-house to kind of develop that application are far more productive, and those skills are much more available, right?
They are.
Because if you think about Elite and Adorant, they're niche products. There isn't a ton of people that are available in those ecosystems. Very
true.
And they tend to come pretty expensive because there's a premium on those folks. Whereas if you are in the Microsoft ecosystem, it's so much easier to find folks that have those skills and those knowledge, and they're much more affordable, right, than having to go out and find people that are very specialized in that particular domain.
Well, I was just going to say, though, I mean, you've actually got people, even within a law firm itself, that might be BAs without a certain sort of skill set that understand workflows, or people in the firms that understand workflows, and they can actually easily implement those workflows without going there and getting a specialist. I mean, the heavy lifting is really around, I guess, having somebody who understands the infrastructure and the security and all the risk management around that side of things, so the plumbing, and then on top the application layer, that's a hard ask.
That's right. Exactly. So, I think there's been a paradigm shift in our industry. Now, I've been selling ERP for 40 years, right? I sold my first ERP when I was 23. I'm 62 now, so it's a long time ago. And, in the old paradigm, kind of going live was the end of the journey, right? And you did everything to kind of make sure you had everything in the platform for the go live. If you think about the modern paradigm, having a data platform is the start of the journey, right? Because that's when the cool stuff can start to happen. And so why would you spend 2.5-3 years to go from a 95% fit to a 99% fit? My philosophy is, let's get the product in. We can do it in 6 to 9 months, right?
Amazing.
Then let's start to do the really transformative stuff, applying things like AI and these really powerful tools that can take the business forward in a transformational way and move away from that idea that all we're doing is increasing productivity and efficiency, right? No, we want to deliver transformational results. We want to put millions of dollars on the bottom line. We want to put money in the bank account just through hyper-automating a lot of the things that are being done manually in your business right now. But we can't do that until we've got that end-to-end platform.
It's interesting because I'm going to be Captain Obvious here, but change management in I guess using your solution would be a lot less hassle, a lot easier in implementing a system like yours than maybe possibly another system.
Yeah, change management is always a challenge in any business, and over the years that I've been implementing ERP, there are 2 areas that cause the most challenges. Data migration is one, right?
Oh, yeah, big time.
That's a huge one.
Massive time.
And then the other one is change management.
Yes.
If you put the right time and the right effort into your DM strategy and you get your change right, any technical problem can always be overcome. It's never technical problems that cause projects to fail, right? It's the management of scope and it's the management of that data migration process that cause the vast majority of the problems. So yeah, that's something that we put a lot of time and attention in. So our implementation methodology, for example, David, is completely different from our competitors. So we have a pre-packaged deployment model that we call sa.global, and that model allows us to load a client's data, right? Day one. And instead of having a situation where we're talking academically about what do you do as a client and what does our product do, and there's this gap in understanding. We don't understand fully what you do as a business. You don't understand our product. And that's where a lot of the challenges come into implementation. How do we bridge that gap and shrink that gap? So the way to do that is to get the client hands-on with the solution they're going to use when they go live right at the start of the implementation. So what we'll do is we put their data into the solution, and we'll play back all of the core processes in their business, right, hands-on in what we call business-ready playback. Everything is there. What they're working on during the implementation is what they're going to use when they go live. So there's no gap in understanding. What you see is what you get. And then we have some deployment tools that if they say, this process, kind of the idea is that if it doesn't break the business, it's a best practice. Let's adopt it. Let's not try to adapt it and get into this endless customization loop, right? With all the challenges that produces. Let's adopt the best practice. And what we find is that although there are always nuances from one firm to the other, the nuances are at the margins. It's that 5 to 10% that's unique, the kind of secret sauce in one law firm versus another. Why spend so much time doing the 90%, 95%, right? Why not just get that in and focus on doing those unique pieces, right? So, the paradigm is really rapid time to value, incremental improvement. Do not try to get everything in and boil the ocean day one, right?
It's impossible. That's why things fail.
That's why things fail. That's why they end up taking 2.5, years, 4 years. You hear stories where people have been at, implementations for like five or 6 years, and they're still not there. Go lives delayed multiple times. So, we want to avoid that and really kind of try to de-risk from our client's point of view. And the way that we do that as well is through the pricing model. So our pricing model is entirely subscription, not just the software. We also price the implementation and the managed services and the underlying Microsoft platform and our IP in a single bundled price. So the client knows exactly what they're going to pay. They pay a fixed fee for each fee earner per month. And our kind of benchmark is it should be around about the price of a cup of coffee a day.
Right. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So like $3 a day is the cost that we try to aim for a fee earner, right? And then for the back office guys, the full finance, it's going to be slightly more.
Yeah, of course.
But the difference here is exactly what you're going to get because there's a detailed SAU on all of the things that we guarantee to deliver as part of our SA-Go process, and you've got exact visibility on what the cost is moving forward.
So I'm going to throw a really curly question here right now. If I was a CIO, CTO of a law firm, and I've always looked at these traditional alternatives that are there, right? So the couple are in the market right now. Why would I look at another? Why would I consider you guys?
Well, I think, the world has changed, hasn't it? So is having a system that is functionally fit for purpose, but not future-proof, the safe option? And I would argue, no, it's not. Because we know that we're hurtling towards a hyper-automated future, right? Where it's going to be technology, not functionality, that drives your ability to compete. So is a legacy solution your safe option? I don't think so.
Yeah. So basically, from point of view of putting options on the table for the partnership and for the management team, having all the options on the table is actually a good thing.
Absolutely. And one of my managing partners told me, he feels safe. He feels that his business is future-proof just through the fact that he's on the Microsoft platform, and he knows that whatever comes around the corner, right? Microsoft will be there and will be adapting and will be finding a way to take advantage of that, right? And so, you just look at the R&D budgets and you say, you've got an organization whose R&D budget is 20 times what the turnover is of these legacy solutions. How ultimately, in the longer term, how is that going to play out in the competitive dynamic?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I would argue that the future is with solutions like ourselves, where we're sitting on top of a platform where you have that huge R&D and development, and we're just building that last mile functionality. Right? That's how we can compete, because almost everything that we're doing is already built for us. We don't have to build a client object, a supplier object, build a GL, build a payments process. That's all done for us.
Yep.
Collections, expenses, fixed assets, localization for, all the places around the world. All of that is done. All we're doing is building that small part of very specific stuff that law firms do around billing, around ethical walls, around, partner accounting, cash accounting. When you think about that in the globality of what you've got when you implement a finance solution for a law firm, actually, those things, even though they loom large in people's perceptions, are not that big in the context of the overall solution, right? Which is why you're able to build something, we're able to build something with a relatively small team, right? Even though it's a decent sized team, but we don't have that overhead of doing all of that base stuff. We're just tweaking and repurposing what's already there and putting it together in a certain way. It's the difference between a kind of gourmet meal and a buffet, right? We're serving up a buffet. We're taking different pieces and saying, hey, this is good enough.
That makes sense. And we had a really interesting conversation around AI before and how AI is utilized within your system.
Yeah. So I was kind of on the bleeding edge of the AI revolution. We invested in a business in Portugal back in 2019, just pre-pandemic, where we were building AI for the legal industry. Frankly, nobody wanted to hear. They didn't consider that it would ever work. They were concerned about security. And so, we weren't successful in getting traction. Stuff like we indexed the entire legal code of the UK, for example, and we built our own LLM. But what's been interesting is that with these new tools that have come along being so much more powerful, we've been able to find ways to combine the things we learned back in those days with the power of these new tools and create something which is actually more powerful. Because our interest is not really around productivity. Our interest is around how can we use AI to really transform the business of legal, right? So not about, how do we deliver the legal product? There are a ton of companies out there to do that. And we hear at the show, there must be 50 AI companies out there in the hall, all doing kind of very similar stuff, as far as I could see. We're not interested in trying to figure out how to draft a contract. We are interested in how can we make a law firm more profitable? How can we reduce the DSO? How can we construct the matters and resource the matters so that they're going to be more profitable? What matters should you choose that are going to generate more profits? How do we make the fee earner more productive so that their billing is more accurate, so we get less credit notes, right? That's the area that we're focused in. Now, if you're going to do stuff that's transformational, the enemy is hallucination. Right?
It is.
And unfortunately, if you take the traditional approach of using agents and using prompts on those agents, you can never guarantee that solution is not going to hallucinate. Right? Which is okay if all they're doing is summarizing a meeting or doing an approval. If it's going to be something which is more transformational, 98% accurate is not good enough. And 98% secure isn't good enough either. So we've taken the knowledge that we learned back in those early days, and we've built what like Palantir calls it an ontology. Okay, you can think about it as a kind of knowledge layer, and that knowledge layer has two ways. It is loaded from our DMS, and it's able to update our DMS. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a fee earner and I want information on a certain matter. Our knowledge graph will know who is the matter partner, and then we'll know who is assigned to that matter. If I'm not assigned to that matter, it's going to come back and say, well, I can provide you with that information, but unfortunately, you're not assigned to that matter. Would you like me to request, Howard to grant you access to that matter?
Amazing.
And if Howard will get that request in his portal, he will be able to say, yes, I'm approving that this person gets access. What will also happen is that information will be written back into the knowledge graph, which will be written back into the DMS. So it will change the security profile in the DMS so that everything is in sync, right?
Amazing.
So you basically have a system which is 100% secure because the LLM is only can only do the things that you've authorized it to do within the hierarchy and the security and everything within the underlying DMS. Right? Nobody out there can do that.
Is that like an agentic AI type workflow?
So you can call it an agent,
Yep.
But it's an agent that's grounded,
Yep.
right, and controlled within that knowledge graph. It can't go out and just generate random stuff. Like when ChatGPT, we all use it.
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't know, what will it do? It'll guess.
Makes it up. Exactly.
It basically makes it up. This is not possible in this approach.
It's great. You've got boundaries. You put boundaries there so it actually knows what it can and what it can't do.
And that's why we call it that zero risk architecture, right? So again, that's something that's unique. And that's something that we did because we were in at the kind of early days. So yeah, so I think, again, that's another thing that's quite unique in our solution is how we are deploying agentic AI to really deliver transformational value as opposed to just productivity.
That makes sense. And I guess if there's people at the show or people that you're out in the marketplace that are looking at solutions right now and they can contact you through a website and have a chat to you about what other people are doing.
Yeah, no, we'd love that. And, I think we're kind of the industry's best kept secret. That's a bit the challenge.
Got to change
it. It's great to have you guys, people in legal, helping us to change that. And yeah.
Awesome. Stephen, thank you
very much for chatting to me,
Brilliant.
David.